Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to Star Citizen. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a month. In fact, it's been more than a month. What was the last video that I did? I think it was on Christmas Day. I think it was on Christmas Day on the 25th of December 2021. So, it's been quite a while. I hope you guys have had a good Christmas, and I hope you guys have had a good New Year. The past 2 months, this video, I should say, let's just get into this. This video will be my opinions on the fiasco, the total dumpster fire that's been the roadmap update that came out a week ago. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys my opinion on that, on Star Citizen's development, on what I think about the fiasco, the community outrage, quote unquote, on the roadmap update that came out a week ago. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys my opinion on that. And also, I wanted to give you guys a channel update. So a channel update for the Spectre of Virgil channel on the YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody who's subscribed. Thank you so much, guys. I was like a couple of months ago when I started the channel, I was blown away by your support. But as I said, I haven't been able to post content for the past month and a half, almost getting close to about 2 months now. As I said, it was the 25th of December 2021 that I did the last video. So generally, the past 2 months hasn't been really pleasant for me. Being sick on and off, nothing serious. It's just being sick with the flu and having some problems with the sleeping schedules and stuff like that, but I've been really, really busy as well. Basically, the past 2 months has been a giant dumpster fire, for a lack of a better word. We're going to use dumpster fire quite a lot in this video. So yeah, past couple of months, not so good for me. So that's why I haven't been able to post videos on this channel or on my other channels as well. So I have a DCS World channel as well, a couple of other channels as well. So yeah, but here we are. So just a quick update on the channel, and then we'll move on to my opinions on the whole roadmap fiasco, the debacle that comes with the yearly update of the roadmap. So first and foremost, I've changed a lot of my ships around. So in terms of news about me, about Star Citizen, and myself personally, I've changed a lot of my ships around. I've melted some ships. So the Ares Ion and the Ares Inferno are gone. I'm going to make a separate video on that. Specifically addressing the problems with the Ares Ion and how it was nerfed and what happened to it. That's gone. So I've changed a lot of my ships around. I've changed some of my fleet around. So you guys will see more of that specifically on specific ships on different videos. But here we are on Hurston. So I've moved locations as well. Like before, I was based at Microtech. So I was based at Microtech, but now I am here in Hurston. Hurston, in my opinion, is a better place to be based off at, because it is literally in the middle of the solar system, in the middle of Stanton, and you got easy access to Crusader, you've got easy access to ArcCorp, and Microtech is a little bit further away. So I've moved to Hurston here. So yeah, sorry about that. I haven't been able to post videos for you guys on Star Citizen, or if you're watching the DCS World channel as well, on the Marshall channel, I haven't been able to post anything on DCS as well. So just to give you guys a bit of a background on myself. So when we eventually get into talking about the roadmap update and the development of Star Citizen, I just want to give you guys some background information on me, so you know where I'm coming from. So I am not a game developer. I'm not a software engineer. I don't want to be a game developer. I am not a software engineer. My background is medical science, so I have a medical science background. I also have a political science background as well as international relations. So both political science, international relations, and medical science couldn't be further away from game design and game development. So then you guys might be wondering, so what the hell are you doing making videos for Star Citizen? Well, I've been playing video games for quite a while. Even though I don't have a background in game development, I have been playing video games for a very, very long time. Now, I say a very long time because it's a very long time. I've been playing video games, guys, since the early 1990s. Yes, early 1990s. So that's almost 30 years. 30 years. I've been playing video games for a very long time. Very long time on various different consoles, various different platforms, you know, the really early Omegas and the Sega consoles, and then of course the very early iterations of the Nintendos, and so on and so forth. In fact, it's been such a long time. I've been playing video games for such a long time. I remember when it was not cool to be a gamer. Now, some of you out there will probably be able to relate to this. Like, back in the day, it wasn't really cool to be a gamer. You know, if you were a gamer, you were looked down upon. You're like, you have no life. People would say like, if you're playing video games, you have no life. You know, you're just sitting behind a screen. What are you doing sitting behind a screen? You know, or the TV. It was at the beginning. So yeah, I've been playing video games for a long time, but my response to those people was like, okay, so I don't have a life for playing video games, but you have a life for aimlessly walking around for hours and hours inside a mall, inside a shopping mall. That's living, walking around aimlessly around a shopping mall. So, having said that, I just wanted to give you guys a background. So, thankfully, that type of stereotyping is kind of over now. Nobody considers, you know, video gaming is a bad thing now. A lot of people play video games now. As I said, it's not like how it was in the 1990s or the early 2000s. But yeah, so I have been playing video games for a long time, so I can give you guys my perspective on that, but I am not a game developer per se. I have no interest in game development. I have no experience in software development. I'm not a software engineer. I don't know much about computers or software making or the process of, you know, game design or art or anything like that. I'm absolutely hopeless at drawing anything. As I said, I have more of like a medical science, political science, you know, international relations type of a background, sociology, stuff like that. But having said that, so Star Citizen. Let's get into Star Citizen, and then we will transition to looking at the roadmap. I'll go ahead and specifically show you guys the roadmap, the release view, as well as the deliverable schedules. So, Star Citizen, I got into Star Citizen in 2013. So I heard of Star Citizen in 2013. So that's what, like 9 years. 9 years. So 9 years ago, I heard of Star Citizen. So 2013, I heard of the game, and I decided to back the game in 2014. So I've been a backer of Star Citizen for a very long time. Very long time. 8 years now. 8 years ago, I pledged and I backed Star Citizen by purchasing a ship. Or 2 ships. It was a Constellation package, game package, as well as a Origin 325A fighter. So I've been following the game for almost 9 years now. So I've been following it quite extensively. I've been making videos for Star Citizen since 2017, end of 2017. So quite a while as well, making YouTube videos and stuff like that. But I've been playing and I've been involved in the Star Citizen game development process for a very long time, just to give you guys a background on myself. So Star Citizen, people say the game has been in development for the past 10 years, but is that really accurate? Because they started in 2012. That's true, right? So they started in 2012, now it's 2022. It is 10 years. 2012 to 2022 is 10 years. That's accurate, that's true. But the game didn't, CIG as a company didn't start on day one, They had to they had to go through a couple of iterations. So I'm just going to give you guys this background so you understand the whole gist of the story. If you're new to Star Citizen, you need to understand this. You might not know this, but CIG had to develop a company and then build a game at the same time as well. So they didn't have all of these employees and all of these offices and funding right at the get-go. So 2012, it's really unfair to say that the game has been in development since 2012. Technically it has. They started the studio in 2012, but then they had the hurdle of creating a company, creating a team, putting a development team together, and start to concept the game as well. So they had to do that first. So they had to create a company first, they had to build a development team first, and then start developing the game. So that's just history of the game, for those of you who are not familiar with the game. Then the second important thing is when people say this game has been in development for the past 10 years. Okay, technically you're right, it's been in development for the past 10 years, but the game that we're playing right now, the game that we're looking forward to right now, isn't the game that Chris Roberts envisioned 10 years ago. Now again, some of you who are new to this game might not know this, but initially Star Citizen, up until 2015, was just planned to be a very less, how should I put this? It was a lot more basic. Star Citizen wasn't supposed to have walkable planets like we do now. You were not supposed to have planets that you can move around in freely. So when I signed up for the game, they said that when you go down to a planet, you go through customs, and then you go into a cutscene. You go into a cutscene and you end up in a landing zone, pretty much like here, right? You weren't able to walk outside. You weren't able to, freely explore the planets and so on and so forth. So the size and the scope of the game changed dramatically in 2015 and 14 when they decided, okay, so we're getting more money. Let's go ahead and expand the scope of the game. So the game that they envisioned in 2012 could have been developed much quicker than the game we have now, because the game got better, the scope of the game increased, the fidelity of the game increased, so on and so forth. So you got to take that into consideration. So those are the two historical hurdles that Star Citizen or CIG had to contend with. First, to create a company, put a development team together, and then second, the scope of the game changed. The game became a lot more complicated, it became a lot more detailed, and that was pretty much what everybody asked for back then. It wasn't something that CIG decided on their own, because they were really successful in the Kickstarter. They made quite a lot of money. They said, all right, now we have the funding, we can start developing the game into a much more higher fidelity. We'll add more features, and everybody was on board for that. Everybody was like, yes, sure, go ahead and do that. Yeah, we want full, traversable planets. We want to, be a full sandbox game, stuff like that. We don't want to be restricted by cutscenes and so on and so forth. So here we are. So you got to keep those two things in mind. And the second, and the third thing that you need to keep in mind is that they're building two different games. So it's not just Star Citizen, the MMO. It is Squadron 42, the single player game as well. So they're building Squadron 42, the single player game, and then Star Citizen, the MMO as well, which I thought right at the beginning in 2013, I knew that was a mistake. Guys, because what you end up doing is you end up shifting the focus of the company, of your team, on two different major goals. Now, a lot of you are going to disagree. as many did back in 2014 when I was saying this, and you guys are like, no, 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 whatever gets put into Squadron 42 can easily be ported over to Star Citizen and vice versa. No, no, it won't. It won't, guys. A single player game, even if it is in the same engine, is still different from a multiplayer game. There has to be a lot of work done to port over features and content from one side to the other. And we'll see this in the roadmap. And when we go onto the roadmap on the website, I'll show you guys what I mean, right? I think I've been proven right by this. So, in my opinion, they should have focused on one game, either Squadron 42 or Star Citizen. They could have focused on Squadron 42, get a first-person, gameplay experience out, and then after people enjoy that, then you could say, all right, I'm going to develop a game, a multiplayer MMO version of Squadron 42 that you guys can explore like as a sandbox, right? And they would have made quite a lot of money by releasing a game anyway. So then there's the fourth thing that you need to keep in mind. So the first one was was that CIG had to develop a company, create a development team, and then create a game. So that was the first thing. Second thing was that the scope and the extent of the game changed. The game became a lot more complicated. Third thing, they're building two games at the same time. And then the fourth thing, guys, is that they had to do a engine swap. So basically, in 2016, they changed engines. They had to modify or significantly change the engine. As I said, I am not a game developer. I'm not a software engineer. There are people much better qualified to explain this to you guys, but Star Citizen was really, like, the pace of the development was really hampered by that engine change. Okay? So they had to change the game engine. They had to rewrite the whole code in a new engine. I think they went from the Cry engine to the Lumberyard, Amazon, something to do with Amazon that will allow for better server connections and so on and so forth. So, yeah, that also really hurt Star Citizen's development speed. So, you guys might be wondering, where is all this going? So, as I said, we will go to the website, we will go to the roadmap update, and we'll also go check out the roadmap, and I'll give you guys my opinions on that. But for those of you who probably don't want to stick around any further, I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys a shorter version of what I think. So, Star Citizen's development speed has been slow. Okay? There's no ifs or buts about that. The game is progressing really slow. It just has. It's always has been. It always has been. The game isn't developing at a speed that people really hope that it would. Star Citizen development speed, for whatever reason, I've just given you 4 major reasons, but for whatever other reason that we're not privy to, the development of the game is going really slow. Really slow, guys. Okay? I would have expected to have salvage in the game 2 years ago. Okay? Now, exploration, many other different game mechanics that could have easily been implemented into the game haven't been implemented into the game. So some of the reasons for that, if you talk to any of the CIG developers on the forums and stuff like that, they'll say we're limited by our tech. So they'll say that they're limited by the tech that they currently have to develop the game, right? Tech like server meshing, like persistence in the game, like full long-term persistence, a lot of technical stuff that I have no idea about, but basically they lack tools and tech to put this vision into reality in the game. So, yeah, the development of the game is really slow. It's really slow. Right? It is really slow, and as I said, I have no idea what it is except for the reason that I just gave you. But other than that, there is no reason for the game to be developed this slowly. Let me just give you guys an example. So, for example, mining. Mining came out in 2018. Okay? the team that's working on mining worked on mining for about 6 months, and they had it out. They had the original, the first tier iteration of mining out in 2018. Now it's 2022. What was stopping the same team after releasing the tier 0 of mining to immediately focus on salvage? Tier 0 salvage. It doesn't have to be the best salvage gameplay. It's been 4 years, guys. What was stopping the team who was working on mining to move on to salvage or to move on to exploration? I mean, my god, exploration gameplay isn't difficult to make, guys, right? It's not difficult. It's not as difficult as working on the engine or creating server meshing. If they wanted to focus on exploration, they could have given us the initial, the tier 0, the most basic, the most rudimentary gameplays for salvage. Go out to point A, point B, and then, find artifact XYZ and bring it back, and, so on and so forth. It's not that difficult. Why are they not paying attention to gameplay? I think that's some of the reasons why people get pissed off. That's some of the reasons why the members of the community get pissed off at CIG, is that because they're just not paying attention. The team that did mining, those guys seem to be the only people working on gameplay mechanics in Star Citizen, as far as I know. Okay, so those guys, I think it is Dan Truffen at Germany. That team is the only team, in my opinion, that is working on any meaningful gameplay mechanics for Star Citizen. They created mining, and they did that 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Why couldn't they have worked on tier 0 salvage? I have no idea. Complete silence from CIG. Why couldn't they have worked on exploration? Like, I'm talking about the most basic, the most tier 0 of salvage and of exploration, right? I mean, they're working on refueling now. Refueling is coming in the next patch, and that's awesome. Honestly, how long were they working on refueling? I'm gonna go ahead and guess that it hasn't been more than 6 months, right? It hasn't been more than 6 months. So what's stopping them right now, after they deliver refueling, to start working on something else? Just the tier 0. Get the tier 0 out. That's all you need to do. So yeah, I think we should go ahead and have a look at the roadmap now. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a look. I'm going to read through the roadmap update, share some of my opinions on the quote unquote outrage in the community over the update, and of course, in a separate video, I'll make a separate video giving you guys my predictions for 2022. As I said, I've been following Star Citizen long enough to probably make a really accurate prediction of what we can get in 2022. But just a word of warning. So there are a lot of trolls following Star Citizen. There are a lot of trolls, and just quite frankly, I don't want to use this word, but there's quite a lot of weird people in the Star Citizen community. Like, if you just need to go down and look at the some of the comments on any of the videos that I've posted. Like, this is a pretty small channel, but it still attracts a lot of trolls. A lot of just plain weird people. So I just ask that you guys be respectful. I ask that you guys, be constructive in whatever it is, comments that you want to write in response to this video. Be constructive, be polite, and, don't forget your manners. Because if people start being rude, I'm going to start banning people. And I'm going to start removing comments, okay? So whatever it is that you want to say, no matter how, crazy or outlandish your viewpoint is, you are entitled to your opinion. And I'm happy to hear you out if you make the argument in a constructive and appropriate and polite manner. But if you start, calling things a scam for no reason, start calling people names and stuff like that, you're just going to get banned. You're just going to get banned. So just a word of warning for some of the people out there. Oh, check out that reflection. Oh, and by the way, I have a hammerhead now. Yeah, I have a hammerhead, guys. Look out for the hammerhead review coming on the channel. All right, let's go ahead and go to the website. Let's go to the website, and I'll give you guys my opinions on the roadmap update. All right, guys, welcome to the Robert Space Industries website, and here's the roadmap roundup. I think it was posted on the 2nd of February 2022. So they normally do this every 2 weeks throughout the year. So they do a roadmap roundup, basically telling us what made it into the roadmap, what was added, what was taken out. And this one is a major one because it is the first one for the beginning of the year, 2022. So traditionally, at the beginning of the year of any new year in Star Citizen, a lot of stuff get removed from the roadmap. Okay, so when the CIG development team comes back to their work groups, they don't go back to the offices now, I guess, because of the whole pandemic thing. But when they get together, they start taking inventory of what they can do and what they can't do. A lot of features tend to disappear at the beginning of the year, and people get mad. And they get mad, rightfully so. I get mad. I don't get mad, but I get upset because people are passionate about this game, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. People like this game. They want to see this game to be, great. They want to see this game be produced. Okay? But at the same time, passions and expectations have to be met with reality. The developers who are working on this game, they're professionals. They're professionals doing their jobs. Most of them have been working in the game development industry for a very long time, and they're the engineers, they're the software engineers, they're the character artists, they're the concept artists, and project managers, and so on and so forth. So they take a real look at what they can do for 2022, and they remove some features from the roadmap, and people get upset each year. So this roadmap roundup for February of 2022 caused a lot of uproar in the community. So basically, I'm not going to go ahead and read through all of this. You guys can do that on the website. You can just go up to the Robert Space Industries website, go to the com link, and then you can come and look at the roadmap update. So basically, I'm just going to summarize it for you. What they said is that they're sick and tired of people complaining that features were removed from the roadmap, so they're removing the release view portions of the roadmap for future quarters. So they're going to keep the release view only for the next quarter that's coming. So each year is divided into 4 different quarters. So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So the release view portion of the roadmap would show various different content that CIG predicted would come in, the 4 quarters of the year. So they would do a whole year worth of planning. So from Q1 to Q4. So now they've said they're only going to show release view for the next quarter. So yeah, and they said that they're doing that because they constantly had to remove features from the release view, and people would get upset and people would get angry, and then this would cause CIG to get demoralized or something like that, and it somehow negatively affected the work, and they just wanted to remove that. So first and foremost, let's just look at what was removed. So for release view, the following things have been removed. So that's player interaction experience, FPS radar scanning, hacking tech, EVA tier 2, 0G push-pull. So this stuff has been removed from the release view. Now, honestly, I couldn't care less about the bottom 4. The top part is really important. The player interaction experience is really important. So anything that the player experience interacts with in the game, so that includes the mobiGlas, that includes the gosh darn awful star map. that affects that. So that's the only thing that I genuinely cared about. FPS radar and scanning, I couldn't care less. Hacking tech, it'd be cool, but all right, whatever. EVA tier 2, again, all are really interesting, but this is the most important to me. This was the most important to me, and the reason they also give a reason why it's being removed. So it says, as mentioned in the previous roadmap roundup, as well as on this episode of Star Citizen Live, the core gameplay pillar has moved to focus exclusively on Squadron 42. Okay, so the core gameplay pillar has moved to focus exclusively on Squadron 42. They announced that a couple of months ago. I think it's Richard, the developer, the guy, the pillar director for that is Richard Tyrer. I can't pronounce his last name, but is Richard. So they announced that long time ago, like as I said 4 months ago, that team is going to focus exclusively on Squadron 42. So because they're focusing on Squadron 42, then this stuff gets implemented into Squadron 42 first, and then it has to be ported over at some, future undisclosed date to Star Citizen. And this is, in my opinion, where I kind of feel a little bit vindicated, because I've been saying that for the past 8 years, that it's a bad idea to work on 2 games at the same time. I mean, people were saying that, no, they were disagreeing with me a long time ago on Spectrum, on their, actually this was before Spectrum, on their forums and on YouTube comment section. People were like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know game development. Apparently, guys, everybody's a game developer in the Star Citizen community. Everybody's a software engineer, apparently. All right, so basically I was getting shouted down that you have no idea what game development is. Working on 2 games at the same time is perfect. It's actually beneficial. No, it's not. No, it's not. All you people were wrong. You can't work on 2 games at the same time. You can, but it's to the detriment of both. Okay, so all of these features that we could have used in Star Citizen now are being developed or have been developed for Squadron 42 first. And clearly you can see it takes time to port over content from a single player game to a multiplayer MMO. It's not the same thing, even though they're very, very similar, they're on the same architecture, but it still takes time. It takes development time away from something else. Okay? So I kind of feel vindicated on this. So basically this stuff got left out. And then of course here it says a few key deliverables on release view hold on a dependency with persistent streaming core technology. So they're waiting on, as I said, some tech for these 2. So persistent hangars and hangar manager apps. So those 2 were huge, absolutely huge. So persistent hangars is where your hangar now basically becomes what it was intended to be at the beginning of Star Citizen's game. So back in 2014, hangars were really, really important, and then everything just went quiet on hangars. So whenever you purchase a ship or purchase a game package, you see like, industrial hangar, the asteroid hangar, this hangar, that hangar. So that's that. And that's really important because persistent hangars allows you to keep stuff in your hangar and allows that hangar to become like a base for you, right? And then it also ties into the cargo refactor where you can have get stuff delivered to your hangar. And the Hangar Manager app is also really, really important because it will now act as one of those consoles, those ship calling console things where you go to, to get insurance, to claim, and to call your ships. That basically becomes an app on your mobiGlas. So those 2 things were huge, but of course they're waiting on persistent streaming card technology. And it says, therefore, the following cards have been removed temporarily. Now, it's important to mention, guys, this is just temporary. They did this last year. They've done this the year before. They've done this the year before that. And this is just temporary. All of these have been removed temporarily. They're just being delayed. They're not, they haven't, forgotten about these or they haven't, stopped working on these. They won't be coming next quarter or the quarter after probably, but they will most definitely be here either this year or next year, early next year. So just, don't stress about that. So it says the following features have been identified to need additional polish before their release into the PU. Therefore, we are removing these cards temporarily until the projection for their respective release timings have been confirmed. So, Hull C, NPC Taxi Missions, Tier 0, Pirate Swarm, Vandal Swarm improvements. I couldn't care less about that, honestly. No one plays Arena Commander. Don't even bother spending development time on that. NPC Taxi Missions, that was fun. That was something fun. That would have been extra gameplay. Halsey, that's really mostly dependent on the cargo refactor. So that's dependent on the cargo refactor. Basically, having the Hull C in the game without doing the cargo refactoring, changing the cargo system is useless. It's like having the Argo raft. So currently, the Argo raft is in the game. It has those boxes, those 32 SCU boxes on the back, but you can't really interact with those boxes until you have the cargo refactor. So I don't really mind the Hull C being delayed, even if it's delayed anyway. NPC Taxi Missions would have been fun. That's a shame. And it says the following cards have been added to Alpha 3.17 column. Coffee shop vendor. Area 18 is getting a new interactable coffee shop. Okay. What is the purpose of this? To serve players with a variety of new drinks. Okay, whatever, guys. But this looks something. This is like very trivial. This is like, okay, whatever. So this has been updated, but still the features for the 3.17 Q1 2022 still haven't been locked in yet. So you could see a few more stuff being added to Q1 yet as well. So now, guys, let's talk about the roadmap for a second. This isn't a roadmap. The roadmap that we have in Star Citizen isn't really a roadmap. You know what a roadmap is? A roadmap gives you a top view, a really general overview of where a project is going. So a roadmap isn't specific. What we have here in Star Citizen is super duper specific. This isn't a roadmap. I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys the roadmap now. So let's go to the roadmap page. So this isn't a roadmap in my opinion. A roadmap just generally, it's a really, really general, really over, like top-down view of where a project is going. So we go from point A to point B to C to D and then finally to release. A roadmap only shows you the major fundamental pillars or blockers or whatever it is that you want to call to where you need to be, right? It gives you dates as well. The roadmap here don't really, the dates can't really be trusted on these roadmaps that CIG gives us. So this isn't really a roadmap in my opinion. It's more like an internal schedule for their own development team. So the roadmap, quote unquote, has two different parts. It has a progress tracker and a release view. So all of the controversy is on the release view, right? So you have the release view here. This has been out, this sort of release view has been in the game for the past 2.5 years, I think I would say. 2.5, 3 years, right? So basically they give you cards for 316, 317, 318. So this is the release view, and they're saying they will no longer show content for all 4 quarters of the year. So they'll only show you the release view for the quarter that is coming next. Okay, but for some reason they still have 318 here. So the reason for that is because they were constantly, adding stuff onto this and then failing to deliver them. And once they failed to deliver them, people got angry, people got upset, and they started making YouTube videos, and they started, posting on Spectrum and Reddit and so on and so forth, and for whatever reason, CIG doesn't like that. They're bothered by that, so they're removing the release view for the entire year. They're only going to keep it for 1 quarter. I don't care, really, guys. I couldn't care less. But the only thing that I was hoping when they came up with this roadmap release view, the only positive thing that I saw in this was that I thought this would keep CIG accountable. I thought that somehow by having this out in the public, in the eyes of the public, would kind of force the CIG developers to keep on track. I thought that the release view would kind of push the development team to stick to these dates, for pushing them to, to not miss features, but it didn't work. They constantly removed features, they constantly delayed stuff, they constantly pushed stuff back. So in my opinion, there's absolutely no need for the release view. Honestly, if they're not going to keep to it, what's the point of having it, right? What's the point of having it? So 317 is the Q1 of 2022. So that's March, end of March 2022. This is what you guys can expect. Now, as I said, I'm going to do a separate video on my prediction of what's to come in 2022. So at the end of that roadmap roundup, they're saying instead of focusing on the release view, look at the progress tracker. So this is the progress tracker. So they're saying focus more on the progress tracker and less on the release view. Now the progress tracker is divided into two different sections: teams. So basically various different development teams in CIG working on various different things. Or you can go ahead and click the deliverables and you can see the actual things that those teams are working on. So for example, a specific ship, a specific feature, a specific FPS weapon, whatever. And you can go ahead and change the timeline. I always like to go to the yearly. So basically, for example, let's just pick anything. Let's go ahead and type. You can type, by the way, as well. You can filter this out. You can say Corsair, Drake Corsair, right? So let's look at the Drake Corsair. Drake Corsair, 3 teams are working on it. So the vehicle concept art, US vehicle content team, and the vehicle experience team. So work is continuing on the Drake Corsair until Q3 2022. Now here's the sad part of this. This is like their internal Jira. This is their like internal schedule for the CIG developers. This doesn't tell you necessarily when a particular feature or ship or whatever it is coming out. So work stops here, August 2022. Does that mean that the Corsair will release in August 2022? Nope, absolutely not. It says 3 teams, the 3 teams that I just mentioned, are going to work on the Corsair until August 2022. Now that doesn't mean when the work stops the thing gets released. So again, this is very very vague. It's I don't know, but it basically shows you what the whole company is working on. So that includes Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, right? So you can pretty much see everything. Okay, you can see everything that they're working on. Now, one thing that I would like CIG to do is to remove ships and features that they've already worked on. For example, the Argo Raft. Why is that here? I mean, the ship is out already. Unless of course they want to add stuff to it. If they kept it there because they're going to come back to it and add more features to it. But there's whole lot of other stuff that has already been released and is still on here. So yeah, they're saying focus on this more, focus less on the release view, because stuff gets removed from the release view. I don't know what to say, guys. As I said, I was hoping for the release view to be a tool to, trying to keep the Star Citizen devs more honest, more on track, I guess, to release. When they commit to releasing something, they would release it, but it hasn't done that, so I couldn't care less, really. It doesn't really matter what they put on the release view if they're not going to stick to it. I would say generally they've kept 60%, 55% of whatever they've put on the release view they've actually released. But as I said at the beginning, I have no idea. There's no excuse whatsoever for CIG not releasing the tier 0 of most of the gameplay mechanics. Salvage, repair, exploration, bounty hunting. There's no reason why they can't do the very, 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 very basic tier 0 of those gameplay mechanics. Just like they did mining 4 years ago. So yeah. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your opinion is on this whole fiasco about the community outrage, quote unquote. I haven't seen much of an outrage anyway. I couldn't care less really what they do as long as they keep developing the game. I don't care if they show it or not because they don't really stick to it, so I don't really mind. I'll be looking at the progress tracker. I have been looking at the progress tracker more. But again, this isn't an indication of when something is coming out. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Be respectful, be polite, be constructive in your responses, in your comments, and yeah, I hope to see you guys later. There's a lot more content that I want to make for Star Citizen. There's a lot more videos that I'm thinking about doing. So yeah, look for that. All right, see you guys later. Take care. Bye bye.